Introducing the all-new Italiano range of pizza. Pizza Ultimo. Pizza Hut.
Meanwhile, Hartal was staged in several areas of the Ampara district today. This was in protest against the detention of former Deputy Mayor of the Colombo Municipal Council, Azad Saleh, and calling for his immediate release. The Hartal was organized by the All Ceylon Muslim Youth Organization.
A correspondent said that private bus services in the Akarapattu, Adalachena, Palamune and Oluvil areas were disrupted as a result of the Hartal. The Hartal campaigns were also organized in Mardumane, Kalmune Kudi, Saindamargu and Samantuni areas.
Leader of the Democratic Party, Sarath Fonseca, convened a media briefing in Colombo today.
People were put behind bars and pressure was exerted on them. This is what brought about the LTTE. Proper legal measures should be taken instead of issuing detention orders based on the instructions of the Defence Secretary under the Prevention of Terrorism Act. If action is taken against politicians, the law of the country should be followed. The best thing for Azad Saleh to do is to send a message to the ruler of the country. Then he too can be released just like murderers, rapists and child molesters. Chairman of the Tangol Pradeshia Sabha, who was arrested over the murder of a foreign national and molesting a woman, released on bail.
Azad Saleh remains detained.
UPFA urban councillor in Tangol arrested for molesting a 14-year-old girl, released on bail.
Azad Saleh remains detained.
Senior Minister Atauddin Eviratne and two of his security officers alleged to have damaged property of a private water project granted surety bails of 1 million rupees each.
Azad Saleh remains detained.
Chairman of the Akurasa Pradeshia Sabha charged with raping a minor, released on bail.
Azad Saleh remains detained.
Duminda Silva, suspect in the killing of Bharat Lakshman Premachandra, granted bail.
Azad Saleh remains detained.
Ruling party member of the Valigapula Pradeshia Sabha arrested over a murder, released on bail.
Azad Saleh remains detained.
Chairman of the Karuvala Gaswaiva Pradeshia Sabha arrested over assaulting the chief manager of the Pradeshia Sabha, released on bail.
Azad Saleh remains detained.
UPFA Western Provincial Councillor arrested by the CID over the murder of a businessman, granted bail.
Azad Saleh remains detained.
Malaka Silva, son of Minister Mervyn Silva, and his friend Rehan Wijeratne, who were remanded for allegedly assaulting an army major, acquitted of all charges.
Azad Saleh remains detained. For yours and our attention.
Speaking in Parliament meanwhile yesterday, MP Sujiva Senasinghe expressed his views on an attempt being made to bring international artists to the island through a company that operates in a manner that insults Buddhism.
One minute. Thank you, sir. Now
the people here are talking about the Buddhist religion. They speak of religion and they are saying here, I will not mention names.
Sean Kingston Nelly in Sri Lanka. Parliamentarian. National Rugby Day himself, who is involved with Charlton, tweeted saying that the two big names will be in Sri Lanka for the concert on the 12th of July. Fat Buddha Productions. A list of satisfied clients. Nelly, Fat Buddha. Fat Buddha
And now they have put up a statue of this fat Buddha which gives a warped view of the Lord Buddha that we believe in. In truth, Chairman, we are ashamed to even read this out. While we are talking about protecting Buddhism in this country, this is what this group is doing. I cannot mention names.
මොකද මේ පිරිසෙතකොට මේ ගෙන්නන ආකාරයේ මේ Fat Buddha Productions, Buddha Engineers, Buddha Producers. දැන් මේ පිරිස තමයි මට මතකයි ඒකෝන් කියන
I remember when the singer Akon was supposed to come here, there was a video in which there was a small picture of the Lord Buddha, I think, in the backdrop of the frame in which the singer was dancing in. A large group went and pelted stones at the media institution which was sponsoring this. Now the people who did this were brought there by the government, and then the government saved its skin. Now this group is bringing down Nelly and Sean Kingston via Fat Buddha Productions.
Nelly saha Sean Kingston කියන දෙන්න සම්බන්ධයෙන් මේ ඉදිරි අනාගතයේදී කරන කාර්යභාරය Fat Buddha Production. දැන් මේ සඳහන් වන සභාපතිතුමනි විශේෂයෙන්ම තවත් මම ඒ Talk to Buddha දැන් මේ තියෙනවා ඒ සමාගමේ The Buddha Shop මේ මා සභාගත කරන සභාපතිතුමනි මේ රටේ I
wish to state, Chairman, that with regard to Buddhism, what the government is doing in this country is a deception. They talk about Buddhism and Matatatita. They say they are going to weaken the 13th Amendment. They say they are going to do away with the open economy, the presidential system and corruption. But, Honourable Chairman, this government, like no other Asian country, has violated all of this and is corrupting this country. On to more local news. Addressing a gathering at the Sri Lanka Press Institute in Colombo last evening, the President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, Attorney-at-Law Upul Jayasuriya, expressed the following views.
The law that applies to people with power is different to the laws that apply to the powerless and the people with divergent views. In the recent bail application that was filed in a court of law in a quadruple murder case was attended to by the judge concerned in the ordinary course of matters that come up for adjudication in his court. In the meantime, something else also was taking place. A JMO report has been called for by another court on the same suspect. The JMO has reported saying that he cannot say conclusively that he is unable to move himself or is in a medically bad situation. Because of this report, the process was expedited. A motion was filed by the lawyers for the suspect concerned, and the matter was called before even the vacation began. On the same date, the council filed the motion and supported in court. The Attorney General appears from nowhere and informs court that he has no objection on the grant of bail to this VIP suspect. The court grants bail. Order is sent to the magistrate's court to furnish bail. Application is made for the court to send the registrar of the court with the bail papers to sign the bail bond to the hospital on the basis that the accused is unable to move. The registrar goes to the suspect and obtains the signature of the accused on the bail bond. The accused walks out of the intensive care unit, cheered and jeered by a crowd of more than 2,000 people. Now, who is in the dock? Definitely not the suspect, but somebody else.
Let's take a quick look at the newspaper cartoon of the day. Moving on to more local news, Minister of External Affairs Professor G.L. Peiris says that international pressure is exerted on Sri Lanka due to a difference of perception about what is adequate progress in a given set of circumstances. Meanwhile, the US Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Michelle Sison, says that economic progress around the world depends on strong diplomatic ties. These views were expressed during a meeting held in Colombo today.
A luncheon meeting organized by the American Chamber of Commerce titled Views from the U.S. Ambassador was held today.
Increasingly, economic progress around the world depends on strong diplomatic ties, and diplomatic progress increasingly depends on strong economic ties. There are three basic tenets of U.S. economic policy, and AmCham is involved in each one of these. The first is a strong commitment to the protection and enforcement of IPR, of intellectual property rights. The second is a strong commitment to CSR, corporate social responsibility. And the third is support for and the creation of a level playing field in which all companies can compete under the same rules.
Minister of External Affairs Professor G.L. Pires also spoke at the occasion.
If you look at the voting pattern in the Human Rights Council, it is quite evident that countries are voting not because of any concern that they have with regard to the situation in my country, but simply because, very frankly, they cannot say no to the United States. That is, countries that are dependent on the US for security. They have told us this. How can we say no to the United States? When we are being canvassed, we are dependent on the US to be protected against other countries which may be challenging our security and sovereignty. And there are huge economic interests to do with trade and investment. So, the voting pattern is predicated entirely upon bilateral issues between the mover of the resolution and the countries whose votes are being canvassed. Now, many objective people see that as an unjust situation, because it means that Sri Lanka is only the stage on which this drama is being enacted. Now that is something that we are very worried about, and we want the international community to reflect on that. I think the crux of the problem, in my own view, is a difference of perception about what is adequate progress in a given set of circumstances. It is my contention that when you consider the magnitude of the challenges that had to be confronted and the brevity of the period which elapsed since the cessation of hostilities, the progress that has been made by any standard is reasonable. Adopt a comparative standard. Look at post-conflict situations in other parts of the world. How long has it taken? And has there been this degree of pressure exerted on any of those countries? Now, this is the crux of the disagreement. It's nothing more than that. That is the crux of the disagreement. I don't think it is a Herculean task to address that issue in a manner that is mutually acceptable and in a way that would sustain and strengthen the relationship between Sri Lanka and the United States.
Now, every child is interested in having playmates and the chance to attend school. However, some are less fortunate than others. News First Tanamalvila correspondent USA Bandara filed this heartwarming report.
Meet Kavisha Akalanka. Born on the 29th of January 2007 in the village of Daluggala in Hambegamwa, Tanamalvila, Kavisha is now at the age when a child begins schooling. However, he is neither capable of going to school with children of his own age nor even play with them. My child cannot walk. He was born prematurely and I have been looking after him amidst numerous difficulties. This mother works tirelessly to give her child an opportunity to stand on his own 2 feet. I have only one child. His father left him. I look after the child. I take him for Ayurvedic treatment, but they ask for 20,000 rupees. I only want to cure him.
Nothing can make you feel empathy more than the raw display of a mother's love. Moving on to one of our headline-making stories, the additional secretary to the Ministry of Mass Media and Information, who was arrested by the Criminal Investigations Department on suspicion of defrauding 39 million rupees, was remanded until the 15th of this month by the Colombo Fort Magistrate today.
The additional secretary was arrested for allegedly defrauding funds allocated by the Ministry of Mass Media and Information for the Dayata Kirula exhibition. She was arrested following a complaint made by the ministry's secretary to the Criminal Investigation Department. It was stated in court that the money was allocated to set up a reading hall, a cafeteria and 490 temporary sanitation facilities at the exhibition premises. The Additional Secretary also operated as the Chief Executive Officer of the Dayata Kirula exhibition that was held at the Hardy Technical Institute in Ampara in March this year.